LEGO's been making minifigures since 1978, when they made the first ever minifigure, the police officer. Back then, they were only making minifigs based on stuff in real life, like astronauts and pirates. But once they started making them for themes like One Piece, Star Wars, Harry Potter, and a lot of other ones, well, let's just say they had to get creative. So in this video, I'll be showing you some of the weirdest minifigures LEGO's ever made. From ones that are technically minifigures but look nothing like them, to arms, legs, and torsos that don't even look like LEGO. But to start out, let me show you some minifigures adapted from TV shows and movies, because a lot of those definitely belong in this video. Like the first Squidward minifigure from LEGO SpongeBob SquarePants. I mean, do I really need to say it? This guy looks super weird. Obviously, we all know what Squidward's head is supposed to look like, and LEGO did make a separate headpiece for him later on. But before that, they put this guy on the shelves. Without that new headpiece, it's hard to even take him seriously, which is probably why the theme's been retired for almost 15 years. But even if the minifigure is accurate to the character, sometimes it still doesn't help, because you end up with ones like the Demogorgon from Stranger Things. Obviously, this guy's torso doesn't exactly match the one from the show, and neither do his claws, and neither does his neck, but that's not the point. The headpiece is actually made really well, and honestly, I think that takes it a step beyond weird. This minifigure is just downright scary. So good job making this headpiece, LEGO, but at the same time, you creeped all of us out. Another minifigure that's super accurate to its character, but still looks really weird, is one you might kill me for. Marge Simpson. She looks really good, and I'm not saying I don't like LEGO Simpsons, but let's be real for a minute. That hairpiece is just ridiculous. Like I said, this minifigure looks like it was made for a crossover episode. That's how good it looks. But I just can't get over how obnoxious her hairpiece is. Like, it's almost taller than her torso and head combined. The thing is, though, these three don't even scratch the surface for how weird adapted minifigures can get. Some of them use such strange parts that I'm wondering why LEGO even called them minifigures. A great example is Gollum from Lord of the Rings. Like, what's up with this guy, man? Look at him. He's perfectly gross, just like he is in the movies. So good job on that, LEGO. But they didn't use one standard minifigure part for this guy. Now, I will say, LEGO Lord of the Rings has been around for a while, and this Gollum in particular is from 2012. So maybe he looks different now? Nope. No, he does not. In fact, he looks even weirder than before. His legs are chunkier and his faceplate is more gross. So yeah, on paper, he looks really good. But when you take away the Lord of the Rings tinted glasses, all you see is a gross little minifigure. If you thought something like this was only possible in Lord of the Rings though, guess again, because LEGO Star Wars does something pretty similar. Obviously, there are a bunch of weird looking minifigs in this theme, but one in particular who just does not deserve the minifigure title is Sebulba. His 1999 version has been getting clowned on LEGO YouTube for years, and it's for good reason. In the movies, he walks on his hands. So I ask you, LEGO, where are his hands? Not only does this guy look like a fake army man, but he's not even accurate to what we saw on screen. They did make a new one in 2011, which does look a lot better, but I don't know. Does this version deserve to be called a minifigure? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, there's one last questionable minifigure like these I want to talk about. His name is Jeremy, and he's in the Yellow Submarine set for the Beatles. Now, personally, when I think of the Beatles, I think of the four main guys playing the music. So when I looked at this set and saw a weird little guy, I was really thrown off. I'm not the biggest Beatles fan, but I've never seen him anywhere, so I was really confused. But once I found out that he came from an animated movie from 1968, it started to make sense. The movie was called The Yellow Submarine, so the LEGO set isn't named after the song. It's named after this movie. And since Jeremy was in the movie, he made it into the set too. Getting back to the point though, this guy is just like Gollum and Sebulba. He looks nothing like an actual minifigure. So even though his story is interesting, he's still pretty weird. Don't think that the rest of the minifigs in this video are created equal though, because now I'm gonna show you some with those insane parts from the intro. One of the most notable ones is Hagrid from LEGO Harry Potter. In the early 2000s, the minifigures for this guy looked really strange, and they still do even in 2024. Hagrid is an English half giant, so obviously he's gonna be a pretty big guy, and you can see that clearly in the movies. So when it was time for LEGO to make his minifigure, they had to ask themselves, do we fully downsize Hagrid like we will for Brick 17 years in the future? Or do we make a new part to make him as accurate to the movie as possible? And obviously they decided to make a new part, but it was nothing like they'd ever made before. Obviously we know how a minifigure is made. Head, torso, arms, hands, legs. But for Hagrid, it was head, body, hair. that's it. His entire body was one whole piece, which is something I've only ever seen on Hagrid. It wasn't until 2018 when LEGO finally separated his body into all the right parts. But before that, they made 2 more that still used this giant body. While I'm talking about LEGO Harry Potter, another minifigure that looks unbelievably weird is Aunt Marge in the Privet Drive Aunt Marge's Visit set. No, dude, not the regular minifigure, the balloon that's floating on the outside of the house. This set is based on the scene from The Prisoner of Azkaban, when Aunt Marge literally turns into a balloon and floats off into the distance. LEGO physically couldn't make this set accurate if they didn't turn Marge into a balloon. So as funny as it is, it makes for one of the weirdest minifigures ever. Obviously, when LEGO wants to make a character accurate like this, sometimes that means the minifigure has to look a lot different. And another perfect example of this is Luffy from the Arlong Park set. The funny thing about LEGO Luffy is that he's normal in literally every set besides this one. For some reason, LEGO just decided that this was the set he should have super long arms in. Every picture on LEGO's website for this set looks really weird with Luffy's long arms, especially this one. They go down so far that they don't even fit in frame. Clearly, giving a minifigure arms like this is a super drastic change. So let me show you one that's so subtle, you might have to look twice just to notice it. These are minifigures of Woody and Jessie from Toy Story. Nothing out of the ordinary, right? Even when you put them next to some other minifigs, everything looks pretty normal until you realize how much taller they are than everyone else. This isn't even the craziest part though. When you turn them around, you'll see 3 stud holes on each leg instead of the 2 that pretty much every other minifigure gets. Looking at these leg pieces literally feels like a fever dream. And Toy Story isn't even the only theme that has them. They're also in the Avatar theme. In the movies, the Na'vi are way taller than humans, and since minifigures are based on humans, it only makes sense to give them these 3-holed legs that Jessie and Woody have. Changing the legs like this definitely makes for a weird minifigure. But what happens when you change something as small as the hands? Minifigure hands have been the same pretty much forever, so you might be struggling to think of what that could even look like. Well, this piece is called a gorilla fist, and funnily enough, it doesn't actually get put in the arm like a regular minifigure hand. Instead, there's a little notch on the bottom of it that the hand is supposed to hold on to. LEGO's only used this piece 4 times, but you better believe it looked weird every single time. The first minifig to get one was Tremor from the Ultra Agents theme, and I mean, come on, man, these hands are huge. The second minifigure is one you might actually remember. Karloff from LEGO Ninjago also had these hands. The third minifigure looks even weirder though. It's the Underminer from the Incredibles theme. On top of having these giant hands, he also had small legs, so this guy's proportions are all out of whack. The fourth and final minifigure is the Thing from the Fantastic Four set that came out this year. But this one is actually weird for 2 reasons. Pretty much every weird minifigure I've shown you in this video has only been weird because LEGO was making them look how they're supposed to, but the opposite happened with the Thing. People have been asking for a big fig for this guy for a really long time, but instead, LEGO just used gorilla hands and called it a day. And honestly, there should be 2 weird minifigures in this set. Mr. Fantastic can stretch just like Luffy, so there's no reason LEGO couldn't have brought those arms from One Piece over to Fantastic Four. It's no secret that LEGO misses the mark sometimes, but this set as a whole was a swing and a miss. Anyways, getting back to the weird minifigures, literally every single one you've seen so far has been an adaptation of a character. Sorry, I just couldn't resist. There are literally so many of them. So now let me show you some that came straight from LEGO HQ. Back in 1989, LEGO made a sub-theme for the space theme called Space Police, and even though it didn't make it past that year, they made Space Police 2 in 1992 and Space Police 3 in 2009. And when they made that third one, I was big into LEGO. I got a few different minifigures that I didn't even look twice at when I was playing with them, but when I look back at them now, these things are super weird. Now, the point of the theme was police catching aliens in space, so it makes sense. But minifigures like the Squid Man, the Frenzy, and the Cranks are out of this world. And remember, none of these guys are from Star Wars or anything like that. They came straight from LEGO's head. Another theme with a similar story is Power Miners. It was only around from 2009 to 2010, but like I said before, I was obsessed with LEGO back then, so of course I had to get a few sets. The story behind this theme is that miners were digging underground to try and fight back against rock monsters, and I think you can guess what I'm gonna say here. LEGO didn't just make small ones like these though. They also made giant ones like Geolix and Tremorox. I guess technically these 2 are big figs, but still, these guys are weird even by big fig standards. Something must have been in the air back then, because these next 2 themes are from the exact same time period, and the minifigs are just as crazy. You might remember the Atlantis theme from 2010. Just like in Power Miners, people were poking around in places they had no business being. Instead, this time, they were looking for pieces of the lost city of Atlantis. What they they ended up finding were warriors, guardians, and emperors who were there to protect what the divers wanted to find. But the warriors in particular are some of the craziest minifigure designs I've ever seen. You know how the Nesquik bunny is known for being cursed because of what it looks like under the mask? Well, people need to start bringing up these warrior minifigures because it's so much worse than that. This is what the Hammerhead warrior's faceplate looks like. This literally belongs in a horror movie. Again, I paid no mind to what these guys looked like when I was a kid, but maybe I should have. They might be why I was having so many nightmares back then. Anyways, the last theme I want to show you from this time period might make you leave a hate comment, but some of the minifigures in the Legends of Chima theme just do not look normal. One in particular who especially creeps me out is Crawley the alligator. Before you kill me, I'm not hating on the design of the minifigure in general. I think it actually looks really good, but what makes this minifigure look so weird is the headpiece. When he looks at you straight on, this guy looks like he's about to do something menacing to you, and even when you take the headpiece off, he still looks like he's gonna do something menacing to you. Honestly, that's the reason a lot of minifigures made it into this video. Their headpiece is just so weird looking. And another one with the exact same problem is in the Minifigure Series 14 pack. In all fairness, every minifig in here was based on a monster, but out of all of them, there's really only one that weirds me out. The fly. I don't know what it is, but something about a fly's head on a minifigure's body just doesn't sit right with me. Like, there's literally nothing human about this headpiece at all. It's 100% fly. Just like the Demogorgon, this thing is really weird to look at. So I guess I have to congratulate LEGO for being able to creep me out so well. But what minifigure weirded you out the most? Be sure to let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.